Yo, well, I'm up here at a view of the lake for the eclipse, which I'm pretty far from Mazatlan. Mazatlan's going to get, I think, totality. And where I'm at, my friends said we would get 80% out here, but that isn't what it looked like from the map I saw. But who knows? Why not come up here and enjoy it? I don't think anything weird's going to happen from it. I think people spaz out about things incorrectly. Just like in 2012. I mean, did all those people who went on about, the Mayan calendar ending because it ended, did any of them ever, like, apologize for being dumb later? No, not that I know of. They just go on and arrogantly want to believe the next delusional piece of shit. Any problem that happens from the eclipse will be because of people's reaction to the eclipse. And eclipses happen all the time. I mean, they're nothing new. There's lunar eclipses, solar eclipses. It's just, planets going in front of each other. And so I guess, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If people do dumb things and then cause dumb things to occur. But no, the rapture's not going to occur or whatever else fits into your strange cosmology that got made up. But it is cool. It's cool to see evidence that we are part of this big, huge system that we can't normally see that well. We see the sun, we see the moon, we see the stars. But, it's kind of neat to imagine these things spinning around. And, of course, all that stuff is spinning through space as well. So it's not just stationary sitting there with planets circling around the sun. We're actually spiraling along through space. It's pretty cool, really, if you see, like, graphics of that. But I don't know when it is. It's 11:22. I'm not going to look at the sun directly. I'm not that dumb. And I didn't bother making glasses or anything. I mean, I already saw an eclipse when I was a kid. We used like photographic film negatives to hold up to the sun and then you could see it and stuff, which was cool. I guess most people don't have photographic film now, so they have to think of some other solution. I think it might have gotten a little bit darker. Yeah, I'm not in Mazatlan, so Mazatlan. I'm not close enough to really see anything interesting. And it's not really that interesting. I mean, it would be if I was right in the middle of it, of course. That would be cool. And I could watch my dog and see if my dog cares. Hey, do you notice it got a little darker? It's like there's a cloud over the sky, just a little bit. Except, what is it? It's the moon is in the way of the sun? Is that how a solar eclipse works? I think it is. The moon passes between us and the sun. And it's all very predictable. So it's not magic and tricky. I mean, they've got it predicted out for hundreds of years, probably.
Welcome to the great outdoors. Look at that.
Jesus. Well, if this is it, well, I mean, it's not even that cool looking. Like, there's a lake over there, right? It's a lake. I don't see anything that cool. So there was something I was thinking about, and it's kind of important. I've been talking with a group of people online who seem real nice, and they have different views than me. Some of them. I blocked one of them because he was getting all spiritually, and my tolerance for that has gone down. And we were talking about, shit hitting the fan, civilization collapsing and things. I occasionally bring up those issues because that's what I perceive is going to happen in the future. And, it's a little cooler out now too. Oh yeah, we're definitely getting a tiny bit of effect. I can't look at it though. Well, look at it. And one guy said something that annoyed me. And it's not something I haven't heard before. In fact, anyone who's involved with preparing for the collapse of civilization has heard it. And I'm not even a huge prepper type. Like, I don't actually have food stored up right now for years. In the past, I've had food stored up for 6 months or even a year, depending on what I want to eat, you know. And I do prepare, like, by planting food forest farms, a food forest farm, which is a huge amount of work and energy that I'm really not actively, really in a sense, even doing because I'm alone and I can't do it, you know. And for one person, it's not even, you know, there's no point to it. Instead, I'm promoting that everyone do it. And that's really the only good solution, is that if everyone does this and they all get off grid and they all do rain capture, because water has become this massive problem here. And so, you know, in this group of people, I've been promoting and sharing what I do a little bit. And one of the guys said, well, when shit hits the fan, we'll just all come visit me. And they mentioned my name. And that really bothers me when people say that. It's almost like a threat. And of course, they don't see it that way. They see it as, oh, well, there's this place where this guy that we know, who I don't really know these people, and now I want to know them less. Particularly, I don't remember who said it. So, but that particular person has a horrible attitude. I mean, you've heard the fable of the, what is it, the ant and the grasshopper? And the ant's working away, preparing for things, and the grasshopper just plays. I need to look that fable up again. But this is the problem with society in general. I mean, the reason that, you know, 80% of people in the world will die isn't because systems collapse. It's because they didn't build new systems to replace them. And they've been told. They've been told what's going to happen. They've had warnings. COVID was a nice little warning of like, gee, your systems can get interrupted by either the state or just because, you know, we have an emergency of some kind. And there will always be an emergency. Now, a small local emergency can be handled and outside help will come in, perhaps, you know, government help or whatever. But in the larger collapse of civilization, which has a variety of ways it can play out, there won't be any outside help. And large systems will fail in climates where people can't survive. There'll be no air conditioning, so, you know, people will die of overheating. There won't be any heating, and so people will die of cold. There won't be enough resources or food to sustain them because we don't preserve food. We move it around using gasoline. Gasoline supplies will be interrupted or increasingly expensive, which is the same thing, but there won't be any. And we've had, you know, looks at that even where I live. There was a interruption in the gasoline supply, and then you've got cars, you know, waiting to get a tiny bit of gasoline. And so whole economies will grind to a halt. The food systems we rely on, the agricultural systems will fail. And we're already in such a tenuous position that one collapse of one system, whether it's a super volcano that makes us lose, you know, 2 years of agriculture and graze the skies, you know, this has happened in the past. Many ice ages can occur. It really doesn't matter exactly how it fails. And a lot of people get really fixated on one particular thing, or, you know, they learn about the polar shifts of the electromagnetic system, you know, or they learn about solar flares, or there could be EMP terrorist attacks. I mean, all the satellites could just go out at any time. This is known. This is nothing surprising about any of this. You know, the water running out in the systems we run them as they are now is a known thing. And so when somebody says, oh, you're prepping, so therefore I'm going to go to where you are, no, I can't handle that. You will die here. And after you take my shit, which I don't have much of, because I don't have anybody to take care of. I don't even care if I die. So I'm not even that kind of prepper. Now, I want to promote food forest farming all around me, and I want to promote it worldwide. But if they're not promoting it where they are, if they're not preparing to survive where they're at, what the fuck kind of delusional thinking is it that they're going to go somewhere else and somebody's going to babysit them? I don't even want to babysit them now. Because right now I get people who want to come here and just play for free because they think food falls off the trees and shit, or that their work actually is useful even though they're not trained to do any real work. They want to contribute nothing, and then they're delusionally expecting that they're going to be able to go somewhere. I mean, there's people out there that think that when shit hits the fan in whatever ways, they're going to go hunting. And it's like, no, you're not. Everything will get hunted out real quick as people starve to death. And you might as well get used to cannibalism or something. Like, learn how to eat your neighbors, because that's going to be your most readily available food supply in a quick collapse situation. And really, it depends on how fast things collapse and where and how, because there might be enough time with a slow collapse that people will wake up and get a clue, that they will actually start to hardcore adjust, stop shitting in clean water that's useful for other things. Like, I don't shit in clean water, I have composting toilets. They'll learn to live with far, far less than they have now. And if they planned ahead now, then they could still have comfortable and excellent lives. If they don't plan it ahead now, their lives will suck and they will die. Their children will die. It's not that I'm saying this is a good thing. Don't mistake people who say this for people who want it to happen. It's everybody else who wants it to happen. It's everybody else working as hard as they can to destroy the planet. And I'm trying to build lifeboats for people I don't even particularly like anymore. I mean, wake the fuck up. And in a group of people I'm talking to where supposedly we're friendly, we're intellectually interesting, we're exchanging ideas and views, don't tell me that you're going to come to my house and expect me to take care of you. First of all, the guys I'm talking to are far, far away, and they'll never even make it here. Right? And I haven't convinced my neighbors, people around this area, to do what I think needs to be done, which is plant food forest farms with no irrigation, have food just growing everywhere, reduce water use, and have your house capture and store all the water you need for the year. And you can do that. I mean, you could get down to under 10% of what you use now in terms of electricity, in terms of water. Like, you shouldn't be using any extra energy for heating or cooling a house or building if you design the building correctly, architecturally, for the environment, for the climate you're in. And no one's doing that. If you live in a cold climate, you're definitely going to die. You live in a hot one, you'll just be uncomfortable because you won't have air conditioning. Old people will die. But even in hot ones, you should have been digging in. I mean, we can have comfortable lives now with less energy use. This is not rocket science. I've thought it through. I've been out here for 20 years now in the forest. And all I hear from are people that want to take. And it's like, wrong guy. Don't try and take any more from me. I've already given everything I can. I give all the information away I have for free. All these other scammers are out there trying to sell you courses on everything and how to be free and how to set up communities and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, all that information should be free. And don't worry, everyone's still going to fail. And all the information they're selling is mostly crap anyway, because they refuse to actually look directly at the actual problems we have, the problems we've had historically forever. I don't know. It's very frustrating. I don't really trust anyone anymore. And I don't get proposals of people who actually want to have a win-win situation. They want to keep consuming in their world and they want to visit mine for free, take as much as they can. They're vampires, they're consumers, and they always blame somebody else. They blame the rich. The rich are rich with fake money, okay? And what they have is organizations that employ people and feed money back into the economy. Many of them are subsidized. And so it's all this fake money anyway. If you own lots of stocks, you may not own much at all. If you own things far away, you may not own much at all. Your wealth is illusionary. What you need to do is own land, learn to improve your relationship with land. And it's not even going to help you if you collect a bunch of guns and have a bunker full of food. That's going to run out. And if you have enough and anyone else knows about it, then they're going to come and take it anyway. So you have to instead look at how to survive on your own and your own systems and what you can take care of. But then get everyone around you storing more food so that the small bumps, hurricanes, earthquakes, or the big ones, you can survive better and not have to eat your neighbors or your children. Uh, sorry I sound extreme, but when extreme shit happens, I mean, read some history here. Shit is really not comfortable when there's an actual problem. So don't even think about the people who are working and prepping now as a resource for you to go and exploit. You sound like an evil criminal. You sound like a vampire. Don't sound that way. It's rude, and you can't survive much preying on other people. Currently, of course, the world is full of oppression, and people are used to having cheap products and cheap everything because people are slaves somewhere else far away, out of their sight. And they participate in governmental systems that promote that slavery. They'll even fight wars over it. We have to always make sure we have cheap resources, cheap energy. Wrong way to think. It makes you a weak person in a weak society that will collapse, which is how pretty much all the world is at this point. Get a fucking clue, and don't be evil. You could donate to people like me so that I can survive and I can develop better systems that then other people can mimic so that we can do better rain capture, so we can make a solar sauna, so we can raise chickens better. And, you know, I want to make a solar brooder, for example, to brood chickens better and combine that with incubators because it's more efficient than the hen raising their own chicks. Although if that works well for you, do that. It's very natural. But I like the incubator solution quite a bit. You know, and figure out your relationship with all the food you have, all your supply chain of everything you use, your clothing, your glasses. Like, you know, I don't know how to make glasses currently, but I've been storing glass for 2 decades. And I think we can figure out how to melt glass into making workable glasses. That's a project I don't currently care about. But if we have the resources and somebody thinks about it, we can do that. You know, there's people, I know a guy who forges his own knives and swords. Great. We can forge tools and we can recycle all the metal that's been collected. I don't throw out metal. I throw out no metal, no glass. Because those are very useful, highly recyclable materials. That's not garbage. And so we're just thinking wrong in so many ways, and it seems so pointless to even talk to anyone because they just have this consumer mindset of taking advantage of any resource, any energy system that they can, and they do not care how much pain and suffering it causes. It's sick to me. And these are the same people that think that they're kind, good people, you know, because they vote for one form of evil over another. But they're still in favor of evil, as long as they're getting what they want, to consume as much as they can. Yeah, we're dead meat. And I'm in not that much a different boat, really. I mean, I'm very alone. I can't get anyone to build composting toilets. I can't get anyone to realize rain capture really matters. Maybe I can. And the nice thing is that some systems are failing now. So like the water systems locally here are failing, where people don't have water. So what do? They go out and protest to the government. That's a really weak thing to do. I mean, go ahead and do it if you want, but it's not really the government's job to provide you with water, especially since they're the ones who are in collaboration with stealing most of it to, you know, put sugar in it and sell it back to you as pop or soda. There's a very small solution set. Agriculture without irrigation, appropriate agriculture of things that want to grow in the climate you're in, and then eat that stuff. You don't have to eat it for now. I mean, we can plant nopales everywhere, and even if we don't want to necessarily eat them every day now, at least no one will die if there's nopales everywhere. They won't die of hunger. But when all the water systems fail, I mean, I'm looking at a lake over there that's drying up. And all the lakes are drying up. Look that up. You know, you don't have to trust me. I don't have a degree in, so I'm not a doctorate in, you know, fucked upness. But other people are smarter than me and have studied these things better, and you can look up their studies, and every indication is we are watching the collapse of the world as we know it right now. And it's not the eclipse that's the problem, okay? Especially not here. There's a wuss-ass eclipse where I'm at, which is what I thought was going to happen. Somebody told me it would get 80% darker. It's not 80% darker. And I think we're past the time it was supposed to happen. I mean, it goes on for a little while. But there's other people, of course, live right where it will, and that's really cool. And, you know, if you got kids, you should take them out and check it out. It's fun. That's what happened to me when I was a kid. I think my parents took me out, and I saw the eclipse, and it was like, cool, there's an eclipse. Anyway, good luck to you. But don't be one of these assholes who tells survivalist type people or prepping people that you're just going to go steal from them. Okay? And unfortunately, that's some people's actual intentional plan. These people are thinking they're being nice. They're like, oh, we'll go visit when we have to, when we need you. You know, we're not going to support you now. We're not going to help you now. But there's other people who, on these survivalist groups, who are like, well, I'm just going to, you know, record everybody who's prepping, and then we're just going to go steal your shit. And there are people out there, if you post publicly on forums, which I've done, there are people out there making lists of just who to rob that's near them. What a terrible, disgusting way to think. Go on and plant some stuff. Think about long-term survival. Think about your potential grandchildren, if anyone survives at all, because it's entirely possible the collapse of civilization will actually be extinction. I mean, we're looking at potential extinction level stuff with how we fucked the world over. I mean, there used to be kelp forests off the coast of California. Those are gone. And that's just one tiny example. Look up tens of thousands of other examples all around the world. And it's true that it's not always clear. For example, right now there's places where forests have increased. But they've increased because we have this cheap energy of oil and fossil fuel energies. And so we don't need these forests for fuel. But we have so many people that once things get rough, the forests are just going to get all cut down. I mean, there's reasons why the Bronze Age ended. I mean, I don't know, go read some history and whatever you want. But the point is we have so much environmental degradation going on, and nobody actually out there focused on a massive effort to plant all the valuable trees, non-invasive plants, all the most valuable plants all over the world in any climate zone that they can, where those can survive without a lot of work. And that will save the world. Not the world as it is. The world as it is definitely dead. Okay? It's going to be very messy, and a lot of people are going to die. But if we want anyone to survive, and then rebuild a better culture, kind of a solar punk culture, although probably not as technological as some solar people think, and a very, hopefully, this is just, I'm going to throw in some of my own biases here, but hopefully very decentralized control, that also each decentralized entity prepares itself against these other entities that want to centralize and steal. And so they all agree around the world that if anybody centralizes and wants to control anyone else, then you do attack them and kill them. So violence will still be necessary to protect freedom. It is now. But where is free in the world? Oppression currently dominates the world all over the place. And everybody I know plays into that. All of my nice friends, right? They play into it because they're getting paid off. They live like emperors. They travel the world. They burn up gasoline. They eat food from wherever. They're, you know, even where I am, where people are relatively poor, although actually they're richer in many ways because they don't have a mortgage on their house. They don't have a bank that owns their house. That's real wealth. If you have a mortgage on your house, do you really own your house? And, you know, will money be manipulated in a way that slowly centralizes ownership of real estate? That's what's going on. Corporations buying up more and more houses. And it just doesn't happen out of nowhere. You know, and all the money that you use, when they print a lot of money and give it away and forgive loans, they just create money. It means your money will be worth less. And Inflation will eat it up, and maybe your wages will go up, or maybe it won't. You know, but they control all of that. You're just a slave to their whims, and they're rich people. And so there's a classism here that exists that will always keep the lower classes poor unless those lower classes realize that their wealth isn't in fake money. And that's like a temptation. It's a drug. So don't let them fool you. They're not helping you. And they will never help you. But there's things you can do. Some of them aren't too pretty. And there's words I can't even use because I don't want to get killed at the moment, although I don't really care. Just make it quick, you know. Don't feel like being tortured that much. It does feel like torture, though, to watch the pain of the world and have people not understand the systems that are causing that and how they play into those systems, and not care about the pain and suffering of people far away that produce their cheap products. It's kind of gross. It makes me it makes me happy I'm a hermit, but I don't want to be a hermit. I want to live in a world of prosperity and people who are good and nice and trustworthy and have good values. I don't want to live in a world that is run by religions and moralists and statists and violence and oppression. But I'm pretty fucking lonely in thinking that way. Oh well. See you later.
Words of an ancient language.
Well, I'm done with the eclipse.
At one end of the room, a rabbi
That was so unimpressive because I'm just not near it. I'll go listen to some audiobooks, walk around a little bit, and try and get back to work, getting some useful done.